Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off the gloomy mask of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good that you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out the pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin. And spread sunshine all over the place. Put on a happy face. Welcome to Potheka Infused. And I am yours truly, your host, Merissa K. And welcome to Cannabis Cooking and Comedy Podcast. And this is episode 0. Thank you, Podcast World, for having me. Thank you for accepting all of my perfections and flaws all at the same time. And here we go. This is episode 0. This is, the guns have gone off. The gates is opened and the horses are out there. It's go time. We can't bullshit now. We done said we're going to do something. And that's the kind of person I am. I tell people that you got to get out here in the world and you got to find your people. I tell my sons that you got to find your people. You may have been born with your brother, you may have been born with your mother, but you have your own family and your own niche and your own groove and your own people out here in the world. And cannabis people are my people. They're my people. So I'm here because I have been called upon by my people to, and I have dived into the cannabis world of edibles and recipes. And I was already a great cook. And now I'm a freaking awesome cook because I love to infuse everything for my friends and family with cannabis now. So, and that is where we're at today. So how did all of this come to be? And, I just want to say that intro, I don't know how long I'm going to keep it, but to kick off the podcast, it was necessary. Put on a happy face. If you really listen to those lyrics, I don't understand how that couldn't resonate with the cannabis community and the culture. It's just a great song. I had to sing the vocals over and stuff like that. So you can already, if you don't know me personally yet, and we are just beginning to be friends and family, you will come to know throughout this relationship that we're going to have that I do voices and I sing and I can mimic things and I'm a complete ass and for real fool. And I love it. Keeps me young and vivacious and vibrant and all that good shit. But how did this happen? How did I land myself in the green rush? How did a single mom from Philadelphia end up doing this? I tell you what, you send a single mom home during a pandemic and you can't go nowhere. All of a sudden, the greatest ideas start popping up in your head due to, you just having extra time on your hand to be creative and think. And I just so happened to be in a wonderfully positive space when all of this happened. So how did it happen? Well, I started baking edibles. But it was bigger than just baking edibles for me. And it actually started off with me making tinctures and oils and remedy oils because of some unfortunate incidences in my life, family members that were suffering from aches and pains. And it just felt as though that it was a necessity after some things had came across my lap. But again, it's episode 0. And the only appropriate way to begin the podcast would be to be about me. So episode 0 is Merissa K meets Potheka and how all of this happened and how I am going to take my friends, family, the friends and family that I'm going to create and meet along this journey and teach you how to infuse teach you how to create recipes for yourself and your friends, and to remove some of the stigma from the cannabis culture. And for you be able to and to teach people how to be able to dose themselves in a microdosing fashion, because things are just so scary out here in the world. So I felt, from me having my ears to the ground and seeing how there's this real fear of edibles, and people have had some, I've seen my heart beat backwards, and I can feel the colors, and I can, and all of this shit, and people just, having crazy panic. You gotta, there needed to be a deeper understanding, because it can be such a wonderfully relaxing and beautiful experience that can really help you to manage emotions and pain and things of that nature. So I felt as though it was necessary to teach this and to share it, so that others can share it. So, I begin my journey. The funny thing with me is I have a background in music, and I have been doing music since I was a little girl, and I have been ripping and running these streets, sleeping on Jordan sneaker pillows with hoodie blankets since I was a teenager, in these streets in Philly and Jersey and New York. And I've met so many people throughout my years of doing music. Now, keep in mind, still a local, some people would say local celebrity as things of that nature, but it still doesn't remove the fact all of the people that you've met over the years. And music has afforded me to be able to do that, and writing music and singing music. And I was, and still am, in the collections industry, and have done that since straight out of high school. So I've always been able to put a pretty penny in my pocket, and collections, being a very non-judgmental industry regarding your bosses and your coworkers, has afforded me the opportunity to be eclectic in my choices, and to be confident in my choices, and in my style, and in the things that I chose to conquer and do with my life. It has always afforded me that that freedom. So shout out to all my collection family out there, all them people that I know. And that's another whole shitload of people that I know in the collections industry, and all of y'all people that done been clubbing and partying and supporting me and my music throughout all of the years. And then, because I was so young coming out of high school in the collections industry, I worked with older people, people that were older than me. So I needed to get away. I needed to still have fun, and my little Sagittarius self, who's always needs to make a penny and kill 3, 4, 5 birds with one stone. Fuck 2 birds. I need to kill all the birds with one stone. I'm like wanted with the guns with one stone and birds, trying to knock shit out the way. So I was uh, uh, a waitress and bartender throughout the years as well. And I would leave the collections industry, and I would go work in the restaurant industry when I felt like it, and began that also in the summers when I was younger, around 19, a cocktail waitress at Dave and Buster's, and worked at bars all throughout Philly, bartending and waitressing. So there was a whole bunch of people that I've met, and people that I've crossed paths with in regards to the food service industry. So my life has been very full of people, a lot of fun, mistakes, happiness, tragedy, you name it, you know. And I can't wait to have friends and family and associates and entrepreneurs that I know, people that I still go back since high school with, and things of that nature, that are talented, successful people today. I fortunately know a lot of talented, successful people from schools that I've went to through my walks of life, you know. And that's how this all started, with one of my coworkers in collections. She led me down this path because she always knew how passionate I was in regards to people, and my connection with people, and health of people. If you tell me that something is aching, paining you, I am in books. We're looking up herbal remedies. What can reduce inflammation? What can, I mean, I am up Google's ass trying to figure out what is wrong with you. I mean, we getting water in you, vitamins. I mean, we touching all, that's just how I am, and I'm always cooking for folks. It is my refrigerator is something always on the stove. I love cooking. I don't get bored with it. I don't get tired of it. I love it when people ask me to cook. It doesn't feel like a chore. It is freedom for me, and food has always been freedom for me. The restaurant industry was a sense of freedom for me. So when I left Philadelphia about 5 years ago and went to Atlanta and worked in Atlanta for a few years, working in the restaurant industry, the Cheesecake Factory, Crucio Sushi Bar and Grill, and dived into the sushi culture and the Asian culture while I was down there. So I really, did a little bit going around. And then as I came full circle and left Atlanta and came back to Philly and went back into the collections industry, I really started taking my green thumb and herbs and herbal remedies more serious. At that point, after being in the restaurant industry and drinking and eating all of the wrong food and ingesting all of the alcohol you could, being in the server life and working late at night and drinking after a shift and just eating greasy and the wrong foods, my stomach was on the outs, my nerves was on the outs. By the time I came back to Philly, I was just all fucked up in the game. We just gonna keep it all the way 100. And at that point in time, I was just like, this just cannot be. I just cannot be anxiety ridden. And I had been anxiety ridden for a while at that point. So I was desperate to find some alternative methods. And I had already been a robust weed smoker, clearly, at this point, but something different was about to happen with cannabis that I myself wasn't even prepared for and literally stumbled across. So as I come back to Philly and I'm working in collections, one of my coworkers, Kristen, who I always chop it up with, love her. She's my comedy person. And me and her chopping it up, and she tells me, you would really do well with an old world apothecary type thing, but making it more new now. Some type of apothecary thing. I said, that's a great idea. I would be good at that. And I started really thinking about it. And as I started thinking about it, I started looking into names. What would I name my business? And I really wanted a business that had to do with herbal remedies and healing tinctures that I would create because I was already beginning to create and mix things at home. And my mother was always wonderful at mixing oils and remedies and tinctures with her being in the beauty industry. So I was very, very much interested in this avenue I was going down. So I decided to look into the apothecary thing. And next thing you know, the word Potheka struck me. As I'm looking into root words, as I'm looking into the meaning of apothecary, I eventually broke it down and stuck with the name Potheka. Then when that happened, I ran across a book. I was in the supermarket doing the same thing we all do in the supermarket aisle, read the magazines for free. Okay, that's what they there for. They there to read for free as I wait for the lady with 2,000 groceries in front of me in line. So as I'm doing that, I'm reading this Centennial Spotlight magazine that says it's the complete guide to CBD. And as I start looking into this magazine, it's telling you all the healing powers of how cannabis can help, everything that you need to know. And it's giving you the 2021 update on what's legal in every state. Yes, it did. So now, as I'm reading this, I'm realizing that this book is telling me that they're about to overturn weed and some shit's about to go down and they're about to make shit legal. And I said, no, you got to be kidding me now. Everybody I brought this shit to, I showed it to my best friend, Daden. God bless your soul, but you told me it was bullshit too. You said, Riss, they ain't making it legal. I said, yes, they is. It's happening. It's going to happen on our watch. It's going to happen. Everybody was like, whatever. You barking up the wrong tree. It ain't going to happen. Well, fast forward. I took the name Potheka, ran with it, decided to start making CBD tinctures, started looking up everything I possibly could, CBD, THC, started creating edibles, started creating ointments, started creating oils for under the tongue. I myself was suffering from stomach ailments, so I was using it for that. And then I so happened to get in an accident. And I was in an accident and had to get neck surgery. So I used the oils to help me heal from that. And I will say it did help. The inflammation, the reducing in pain, and me creating the tinctures myself and the oils myself at what strength I needed them to be was definitely working. And I realized that I was on to something. So next thing you know, I'm like THC, CBD, BBD. You know, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on. So next thing I know, I saw that St. Joseph's University was offering courses and certification in cannabis programs. So what did I do? Sign me up. I want people to know that I know what I'm talking about. I want people to know that I took the extra mile to take the matter serious. I want the cannabis culture to know that I take the cannabis culture seriously and that I'm here to help. I'm here to educate. I'm here to show you the way. So that's what I did. I took the cannabis course. Shout outs to St. Joseph's University here in Philadelphia and Green Flower for the most wonderful course a girl could possibly ever ask for. It completely opened up avenues. It would put me in a position to be able to understand where THC is going, where CBD is going, and where I'm going with it. So that is how it all happened. That is how Potheka came to be. And as of right now, I am doing events. I have people who I tend to. I have a couple of individuals who are cancer patients who rely on me for tinctures and remedies. And, I'm just here trying to help people to understand all of this confusing information that's just coming in 1,000 miles per hour, you know, that's very old, but very new. We were very used to smoking marijuana. We weren't ready to eat it. And then when we did start eating it, we were eating brownies. We were just dumping flowers into brownies. And then we were dumping it into cookies. And then we really, really, really thought we were the shit when we started making gummy bears out of the shit. Now we're like, yeah. But the problem is, people want to be able to dose themselves. Some people don't want to be high for 2 days. Some people don't need a cancer patient's formula. You have to understand that as a person dosing with marijuana, you have to be just as conscious as a bartender. And you want to make sure that the person had an enjoyable evening, not an evening that they'll live to regret. And that's the same thing that I'm going to try to teach to all of the people out there and create some wonderful recipes along the way that we can share with our friends, with our families. I'll be having a co host on the show that is going to have us laughing, pissing in our pants, laughing, and I can't wait. That individual will appear on my next show, which will be in 2 weeks on Saturday, 7:30. It will go on all podcast platforms, and we're going to be talking terpene turkey. And I am going to be inviting my co-host is going to be introduced and will be speaking next week. And that is the most wonderful, so sharp Sheila. That is my mother. I know it's crazy. She does some shit that makes me blush all the time, weekly. She loves doing it. So she is going to be a very wonderful co-host with me. We are going to laugh our asses off as we cook our way through cannabis. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. In 6 months' time, we will be moving to video at that point. But for the first 6 months, every other week, we're going to be here teaching you about cannabis, cooking, and having some comedy along the way. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me this evening. And I'll be looking so forward to coming back next week. You can go and see the postings for the show and catch any merchandise and keep up on all of the Potheka events at potheka.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Love you.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off the gloomy mask of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good that you'll be glad you decided to smile. Take out the pleasant